I think what we'll do, though, I think we'll start with our hairless leader in America. Here is the report from One News tonight. See how many awkward photos you can see in this.
It's been a day of top-level diplomacy for our Prime Minister, rubbing shoulders with world leaders at the NATO summit. But Christopher Luxon's also had a front row seat to a disastrous day for Joe Biden. Political power players and now even a Hollywood star piling in on his faltering re-election campaign. Here's US correspondent Logan Church.
After we talk about Luxon, we might touch on that, Chewie. It's not part of the prep necessarily, but Biden making absolute statements that he's not going anywhere. Don't know if we believe that yet, but we might talk about that as well.
Global leaders rolling up to the most powerful house in the world. Among those invited, our Prime Minister, Chris Luxon.
Look how he's standing.
Wined and dined. Then grabbing a short chat with a US president under intensifying scrutiny. One of Biden's biggest fans and fundraisers, actor George Clooney, launching a blistering attack in the New York Times, saying the Democrats are not going to win with this president, as the one battle the 81-year-old can't win is the fight against time. Biden's friend and Democrat royalty, Nancy Pelosi, throwing fuel on the fire.
It's up to the president to decide if
and the fuel that she's throwing is she wouldn't say I'm behind Biden. That's what they're getting to. So the cut's not very good as to her, because obviously she was in a half-hour conversation, and at no point in that whole half hour did she go, I'm 100% behind Biden. So that's the fuel to the fire, that she didn't overtly back him.
he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
Questions even piercing NATO's most hallowed protocol. A president under fire from all sides.
It's the most important job in the world and has huge consequences for New Zealand. So tonight, President Biden will be presiding over a gala dinner for those 35 or so NATO leaders. But tomorrow, he's going to stand up and do a solo press conference in front of the world's media. And there's going to be even more scrutiny than ever on that, just to see how he performs.
The problem for Democrats is the timeline is now getting tight. This week, Joe Biden's hosting world leaders here in Washington, D.C. for this year's NATO summit. Then the party has to have their presidential pick sorted by the end of their convention next month. And if a new candidate is selected, they have less than 3 months to turn things around before November's election. Biden knows this NATO summit is make or break for him. Christopher Luxon, meanwhile, using it for political speed dating.
Awkward family
Canada's
photos.
Justin Trudeau, amid a trade dispute over our dairy exports.
Obviously, this is a really important time for friends and allies who share values.
Then Estonia's Prime Minister. And France's Emmanuel Macron. Luxon in diplomatic overdrive.
I spoke to everyone from the German Chancellor down to sort of the Iceland Prime Minister.
As politics here
down
gets
to Iceland.
red hot.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a mess up, wasn't it? Down to Iceland. Obviously, Iceland, you're at the bottom of the pack. So look, that was obviously mostly about Joe Biden, but the bit about the Prime Minister at the end there, pressing the flesh. And I've already seen in the chat people asking about Ted Cruz. Yeah, he was supposed to be seeing Ted Cruz as well. And as Chewie, you said before we started, I'll let you say it. What you said to me about Ted Cruz.
Why the fuck is Luxon meeting with Ted Cruz? Just seems really weird.
Yeah,
like a Texas governor. Just super weird.
I mean, with ties to the Heritage Foundation, just throwing out a conspiratorial little thing there. This is what it looks like to be brainwashed, talking about the Heritage Foundation and Ted Cruz. So Luxon's over there, having his photo taken with people. Hopefully, he'll do something significant like a few Labor delegations did and bring back some kind of free trade agreement, which would be good, but we'll see what happens from there. As to Biden, he is making noises now, like real serious, strong noises that he's not going anywhere. He is absolutely running. There are a few people who are thinking that he'll make an announcement after NATO. But mind you, previously they said that he was going to make an announcement during this, Stephanopoulos interview on ABC, and he didn't. Although in that interview, he did say he couldn't remember if he'd watched back the debate or not. Good Lord. So he couldn't remember if he'd rewatched the debate that he had just been in. And he said that on national television. And there are splits certainly coming. There are lots of commentators who are saying if Biden runs, Trump wins. We said that 18 months ago, 12 months ago. But they're saying that now. And then now you're getting factions within the Democrats. There are a handful of governors and senators who are calling on him to step down. You've got people like AOC absolutely behind him. He is our nominee. It's quite a strange thing coming from such a progressive person, but others are saying she knows how to play the game. And then you've got calls from the outside. Yeah, I heard someone say today, if the Democrats lose Hollywood, that's the end of everything. Like if they're losing Hollywood, that's the end of it. So, George Clooney obviously makes great films, not necessarily have good heritage when it comes to politics, but actively saying time to get out. And he actually just ran a fundraiser for Biden that I think raised more money than any individual event in the history of fundraising. So he's on board for Biden. So for him to say, sir, it's time to move over, there is some, I don't know if there's political weight to it, but it's an interesting angle, Chewy. Sir.
It's too late. It's too late for that. The way the American system works, it's just too late. The other thing that I saw was I should have saved the article. Kamala Harris was doing an appearance at a majority black conference, and the news organization that did that story was desperately trying to find anybody to say that they wanted Biden to step aside and could not find anyone to put their quote to that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. Is this a media beat up? Is this people just sort of voicing those concerns just a little bit too publicly at this point? I don't know.
Well, it's not a media beat up because perception is reality. And when we talked about this after the debate, and people in the chat were pushing back saying he doesn't have dementia, it's like it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter. They're already running ads in swing states against people running for senator and governor status, using Biden's debate performance as an attack ad, and in the polls it's working. So it doesn't matter whether he still, please, I roll my eyes when I say it. One thing about commenting on American politics, it feels great because we can't do a damn thing one way or the other. Commenting on New Zealand politics, there is an element that you're like, I don't really want to turn people off, voting by being pro or con or whatever. But America, we just, So anyway, rolling my eyes when I say this, but even if he was still jet lagged 11 days after he got back to America, if any of that was real, it doesn't matter because the perception is, he is significantly impaired cognitively. Trump is so impaired that when he comes out looking like the non-impaired one in a debate, the other guy's done a freaking terrible job.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Look, there's stories that have come out about the Epstein files that literally rape allegations against underage people from Trump hasn't dented his run at all. Mm-hmm. People that are voting for Trump do not care.
Yeah.
That he could say anything at this point. Like famously, last time round, he said he could shoot someone on the White House lawn, and people would still vote for him. And I think that's true, and that's an indictment on that whole country. Anyone but Trump, like that, needs to be the ticket at this point. Bag of potting mix, 2025. Anyone but Trump.
The thing is, he has basically done the equivalent of shooting someone. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, and he is an adjudicated rapist. Now, what that means is a court has found him liable civilly of that crime. It's an adjudication that he raped, right? They didn't have enough to go criminal conviction, so you can't say he's a convicted rapist, but he is an adjudicated rapist. So he has committed crimes, 34 felonies. Could you imagine if any Democrat had a felony in their past and they were running for presidency, what the Republicans would be saying? So he's kind of already done that without doing that, if you know what I mean. Sure, that's proven already. So
yeah,
You wanted to include as well what we're talking about America. Luxon's over there, being Lux Flakes, about what he said about Ukraine as well. So let's play this off the RNZ Instagram.
Well, what we're wanting to do is to buttress the international rules-based system, and it's important you don't just mouth the words, you actually follow through with action. I think the sentiment is very clear, is that, you know, and as a country, as a liberal democracy like New Zealand that believes in the sovereign state of nations, that you don't have unilateral actors just moving in on a country like we've seen with Russia and Ukraine.
Oh,
yeah, unilateral actors moving on a country. Did he say like Gaza?
International rule of law.
Yeah, that you don't have unilateral countries moving in on a state like, I missed the last word. Was it Gaza?
I mean, very clearly we're talking about Ukraine, and also very clearly there's absolutely nothing going on in the world that any sort of parallel could be drawn here. Also, you know, action is important. Like maybe booting Russia's entire ambassadorial staff out of the fucking country.
Yeah.
Jacket is too small.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's also the third worst thing that he's done here. God, man, get a suit that fits.
I mean, you know, when he talked about unilateral against another state, it's like, you haven't answered me, Chewy. Do you know if he feels the same way about Israel? Because you know, if he was, you know, playing an even hand, he would. Has he said the same thing to Israel?
No, I don't believe so. I think a very mild. Maybe you guys want to settle down a little bit.
Maybe
a few months ago, and then nothing ever since. Maybe
I've cut him off. He's got more to say. Let's have a look.
Ukraine, that we believe in freedom and we believe in, you know, democracy and freedom of navigation and all those good things.
Oh, like freedom of navigation, like not being forced to the southern part of Gaza. I'm lost again. Is he talking about that or something else? I'm confused.
There is deep commitment and consensus to make sure that we have to win in Ukraine. You know, we want to ensure the rules-based system is maintained.
Ukraine. Right? Sorry, I was confused here because I thought he was making good points about Gaza, you know, and kind of telling Israel to cool their jets a little bit. But that seems to be, I've missed something obviously in that conversation, because obviously it's different.
We
Israel's different
because as you know,
yeah,
Christopher Luxon is a powerful intellect when it comes to geopolitics.
Yeah,
and is just playing 5D chess.
Yeah,
with all of these great nations leaders, and not at all seeming like a Jack Russell going, "I want to play too, include me. Did you know I'm here?"